1.5 months. Okay.
Steve, 25, and this is my first day.
I'm Nathaniel. I'm 26. I've been training for about a month and a half.
My name's Ryan Smith. I just turned 26 and I've been training for about a year probably.
I'm Mai and I'm 18. Well, no, I'm 19. I've been training for a year now, so yeah.
My name is Joshua. My rank is Envu and I lead Flow Ninjas, and I've been training for off and on about, I would say like 4.5 to 5 years.
I'm Adelaide Piscata. I'm a Jonin. I'm right under Joshua, and I'm 19. I've been training for about 3 or 4 years.
I'm Noah and I'm 21. Been training for about a month.
I'm Jake. I'm 21 and I've been training for about 3 hours.
This is Saya. She's been training all her life.
Is she ranked above you?
The way I got started through parkour is I've been doing capoeira with Ashe Capoeira for 11 years, since I was 11 years old. We were, looking online, looking for videos, learning how to do flips and stuff, and we started seeing these guys doing parkour. We didn't know what it was, so we started looking up more and more and more, finding out more about it, and the difference between parkour and free running and different styles and etiquettes and everything, and that's how I got started. Started training on my own and been doing it ever since.
Same as Joshua, I've been training capoeira as well. I've only been training for about 4 years, about 4 or 5 years. But prior to that, I've been martial arts all my life. I started when I was 3 years old, and I've been specifically training in ninjutsu as my main martial art ever since I was 6 years old. And in ninjutsu, there's actually a lot of tradition that it's basically parkour. I mean, it's a martial art. There's self-defense, and there are all the martial aspects of the fight, but there is the flight aspect as well. And so there is some basic training, obviously, in the rolls. That's where we get a lot of our rolls from. And I mean, all the same movements. People have been doing parkour ever since they've had arms and legs to do it. So there are other art forms and routes that do certain movements like that. In a martial arts setting, generally, especially in ninjutsu, we are always told the best thing to do in self-defense is to run away, flight, but then we just spend all our class fighting, right? There's a period of time for a few years where we did focus a lot of our training in the flight aspect, the flight and stealth aspect of ninjutsu, but that time, I mean, really, the focus of class is the martial arts aspect, and so really, I just spent more time personally training with that. I started training with Josh and his brother Ty as well, and we started training outside and really developing more of the movements of parkour. Before we even really knew it was parkour. At that point, we just knew it as movement. Throughout using effective, efficient movement to move around. That's where I get it.
I actually like the aspect of adding a competition in parkour, because parkour is all about moving efficiently through your terrain, over, under, through it, or around, and adding that whole the whole aspect of the chase. That's what I like about the competition. So I think if you're talking about an obstacle course or timed section or sector, running through there, running, increasing your times, that's still adding to the concept of parkour, moving efficiently through your surroundings. And then as in free running and doing tricking and stuff like that, adding the competition to that, I think it's the same thing. I hope one day we can either get parkour or tricking into like somewhere like the X Games or the Olympics, just so that we can have that respect, just like the skateboarders and the bikers and everybody else get. Because I think it's the same sport. Some people don't like it as a sport, or not as a sport, but as a competitive sport. But I think it's just another way for us to progress through our sport and make ourselves a stronger community.
Well, you realize, how hard training really is, so respect other people that are willing to train hard to get there. So you gain a lot of self-respect and respect for other people. And instead of your ego showing, I can do this, you gotta do that, you just come together and be like, oh, yeah, I'm gonna teach you how to do this, I'm gonna teach you how to do that, rather than slow and grow. So that's
So I think there's a big difference between ego and confidence, and the biggest difference is that, to me, is that confidence comes from understanding your own capabilities and where you are and how you can progress. And as a training group, especially in our group, because we have a ranking system, I think that builds a lot of confidence, but keeps the ego down, because there is always someone above you. And even though, you know, Joshua's at the top of the group and we're high up wherever in our ranks, there's always that next step of training that we have to achieve. And so there's always something above us, whether it's a rank or a person or whatever, there's always something we have to move up to. So it's not an ego coming from, oh, we can do anything. We can do anything, but we know the work that we have to put into it, and it's not, we have to be realistic about that, and training really shows us our weaknesses, our faults, and also gives us the confidence to overcome those obstacles.
Community, yeah, definitely. I was going to say respect for everyone, but community. Being able to go and train with other groups and not have to feel segregated or separated from them. Being able to have anybody come to our group and not be like, oh, we don't want you, you're part of a different group. No, come train with us, we'll go train with you. I love doing that. We love going to go train with PK 9000 over at ASU and training with other groups. We've trained with you before, and we love that. We love that about our community. There's no, oh, you're there, we don't want to train with you guys. No, we want to train with everybody because that helps build our community stronger. For me, personally, I draw my inspiration from my team and from the people that I train with, because I can see the progression that they're going through, and it just makes me want to progress even more. It makes me want to train harder, it makes me want to stay committed even more and build the team even more and try and create or look for new ways of training, new ideas, new anything, really. And another thing too is her. She's my inspiration. she makes me everything that I am, and if it wasn't for her, this team probably wouldn't even be here. I wouldn't even be here, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would just go with agreeing with that, because definitely when training as an individual, it's really difficult at times. I mean, just even waking up, getting out of bed to go train early in the morning, because that's about the only time you can train in Arizona when it's nice and cold. But I mean, really, once we started putting the team together about this time last year, we noticed that our own skill, our own strength, everything started to be so. We started strengthening ourselves so much more and progressing so much faster because of our drive to do something for other people. It wasn't. I mean, we initially, I think I got into the team because I wanted to train. I wanted to make sure there was an opportunity there for me to train, and it was just there, easily available, kind of, it fit to my schedule, everything, it logistically worked. But the point of it, after really coming together, was that the team members really drove me to push myself so that I could actually lead the class with confidence, with that confidence I was talking about earlier.
Community, for me, is bringing everyone together, working peacefully together, and keeping the respect, also while still training hard and boosting everyone's morale to train even harder than what they've ever done before. I like the whole aspect of, you know, working out, stretching, and building the camaraderie so that everyone can respect each other and know each other. If there's no community, then there's no parkour. If there's no community, there's none of that, because no one's going to come together. If no one's going to train together, then you have nothing. What are you? Just a person training on your own. I think it'll never, ever, ever not be an underground art form, because the way that it is, people don't see it as skateboarding. People don't see it as bike riding. They're like, what are you guys doing? You guys are jumping off of walls. You guys are, you know, climbing buildings, or not really necessarily climbing buildings, but jumping over obstacles and moving through your terrain. And then that in its form is just underground, because you're in the city, you're moving out to staying urban. The only way it's going to be mainstream is if everyone's walking around with the HD video camera and camera crews and everything, and they're shooting movies and all this. It's always going to be underground, always, and it's always going to stay that tight-knit community. But it being mainstream, it is mainstream now. It's on the internet, it's viral, it's everywhere. Everyone knows about parkour. The latest Spider-Man movie, Tron, they had parkour in it. So, I mean, everywhere you see, what was it, James Bond, they had parkour in it. It's in almost every aspect of movies, even if people didn't realize it. Just by the stunt work and moving efficiently, oh, you're a cop, you gotta get over the car. Well, that's technically kind of parkour, you have to get over your obstacle. But everyone wants the form, the visual form of parkour. And so when they see that, that's where people are like, oh, it's mainstream now, it's here, it's there. No, it's not. It's everywhere, and that's where it's going to be, and it's always going to be there. And if you put it out as, oh, we don't want to do it anymore, become a fad, then that's what it's going to be. But if you respect it, it's always going to be underground, and it's always going to be respected throughout your community. As long as you show the respect towards it, it'll show the respect towards you. I just got through with a back injury. It wasn't parkour related. I was sleeping, twisting my back, and that affected my ability to do parkour. But it didn't affect my confidence in myself to keep stretching and training to get over parkour. I believe Brian's had an injury.
It's like 2 months or a little bit more than 2 months ago. These guys are taking their own breaks, and I was training on my own, and I usually join. Since they weren't around, I went to PK 9000 to train with them. I mean, it's my own fault, but I lost the confidence or whatnot, but I just pushed myself too far. That I kind of banged my knee when I was trying to bunny hop on a wall and had stitches. It sucked, but I still wanted to move. It took like about a week or two until I finally just said, the hell with it, just go out and try on one leg. Slowly, it's still healing still. It's a little bit swelling. So, there's ways I've been trying to work through, I had to work through it, doing certain movements so I could still keep training, but still. Learn from my mistakes. That's why I like training in a group, because that's when they tell me when to not push myself too much, or I learn myself when to push myself. So.
I mean, my injuries have been pretty minor. I mean, I guess the most recent thing is I dislocated my thumb.
Okay.
But it's not been bad recovering from it. But I think really the biggest help to overcoming those injuries, just like any obstacle, is the fact that we are a team, and like what Brian was saying, we really can push each other to come to class and get over those injuries and things like that. But also, we are there to watch out for each other. We're not pushing Ryan to the point where he has to get those stitches done over and over again. We really watch out. We modify movements for each other. Really try to watch out. I mean, even Joshua as a higher rank above me and everyone else, the rest of the class, we watch out for him as well. I mean, when we're leading stretches, we want to make sure that he's doing them a certain way so his back is recovering. We want to really promote the health so that you can do the parkour and that you can actually live it versus it's just a short-lived kind of experience that you put all of yourself into it and you just get trashed. No, we don't want that. It's a whole lifestyle that really promotes the health and recovery and really getting over any obstacles, and that includes injury. Right?
Even though I injured myself, PK 9000, there was 3 of them there. I injured myself, but they knew it was my first injury, and I don't know what to do, but they knew how to treat it and everything, and I'm glad that they were there, because I totally would have screwed up more if I had walked all the way home and just been like, oh, it's just a scrape. They knew exactly what it was. They bandaged it up. They called people there. And thanks.
We're glad they were there too.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
Lately, I've been finding that it's just becoming more and more my life. I've been trying to find time to make an outside life, and I just keep bringing it back to parkour. Everything I do. And normally on a Sunday we'll go out to eat, and then after class we'll go out to eat. But then lately I've been just hanging out with people inside of the group. You know, outside of class, I call people out. Hey, what are you doing this day? Let's go hang out. Blah blah blah. This, that. And you know, I've been incorporating teaching her little bits of stuff, jumping and rolling at home. She loves it, and
I bet.
she has fun. She just thinks we're playing the whole time. So I bring her to class now, and she's just like, but when we're at home, she likes it. But yes, I believe parkour has slowly became who I am and what my life is. My life is parkour.
I guess I would personally counter that for myself. It's been very difficult for me, especially this past year, to incorporate parkour as, I mean, it is a lifestyle for me, but as far as the practice, it's been difficult. I go away from school. I'm a student, and I've been in the process of transferring schools as well, but still I'm far away. I'm going to be going to Chicago for school this next year, which I know is a great environment for parkour. The past year I was in school, not really a good environment I could really train in. I tried to start up as a casual training group, really just for my own, you know, keeping in shape and everything, and also, you know, teaching other people, just kind of get them interested, get them introduced to it. But that didn't really take off. I tried, and there was that mainstream interest, but I think it's going back to what we were saying, that it's still an underground, that there's an underground movement where there are people that are actually going to be inclined, really committed to learning an art form like that. It was just really difficult this past year for me, and it was mostly like, I come home to Arizona and I train. That's it. That's basically all I do. I mean, I'll be training with my other martial arts, but that's pretty much all I do. I mean, I come home and I'm spending time with the group, and that's all I do, really. And then I go off to school, and just school. So I'm still in the process of figuring that out, figuring out how I can incorporate all that, but it's another obstacle I need to overcome. And definitely, I mean, even with the support of the team being so far away, I still know I have their support, and it definitely drives me to want to continue training wherever I am and in whatever environment that I'm in. It's like that ranking system in a way. You can see sometimes how a kid is so much more agile, so much more energized just naturally than you are as an adult, and especially as a class leader, if you're supposed to be teaching that kid's class, that's really a drive to keep up with the energy of the kids. I mean, I know every once in a while there's a Wednesday's class, and I'm just like, I'm tired, I've been training, or whatever, like I just don't really feel like it. But as soon as the first kid shows up, just attitude completely changes. It's completely different.